Marjorie Taylor Greene left Congress right when she decided to speak out against Donald Trump, which is arguably energy we could have used more of in Congress, but also good riddance because she's still pretty far right, which is arguably something we need less of in Congress. However, even outside of her role as a congressperson, she has continued to divulge information that perhaps we'd always suspected but didn't have confirmation of from people on the inside, people who would have actually known what they were talking about.
We started moving into the Epstein files, and everyone remembers that battle. That was the biggest battle on the planet, like the hardest thing to accomplish.
Yeah.
And he had his administration, the White House, telling the Speaker and Leader Thune, so Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune, stop this. Do not pass any resolution to release the Epstein files. He told Pam Bondi at the DOJ, no matter what you think of Pam Bondi, he flat out told her, do not release the Epstein files. He was blocking everybody.
It was all him because there's a huge narrative out there that it's all Pam Bondi's fault. That
they want to make it Pam Bondi.
Undermining him. You're saying that, to your knowledge, he was driving this bus. Trump drove the bus to suppress the Epstein files, according to what you witnessed?
I know he did. And I don't have any knowledge of him and Pam Bondi's personal conversations, but I know he was telling everyone not to release the files.
So she's saying that Trump explicitly blocked the release of the Epstein files so that he could protect his friends and himself, the Epstein class, if you will. This isn't anything we haven't heard before, but it is nice to hear it confirmed from another person. The more people who speak out against things like this, the better. As of now, it doesn't change anything tangibly, but unfortunately, these kinds of things tend to move slowly through the spheres of public acknowledgement, then acceptance, then retribution. So even if it's not much, I will take it. But that's not the only thing MTG has been saying lately. Let's remember first that Greene became such a controversial public figure because she was the first real QAnon congressperson. We had elected a conspiracy theorist right into Congress, and while it seems as though she has learned a lot during her time in Washington, D.C., and while she has generally calmed down, she hasn't completely renounced the Republican Party and the things it stands for. Now that said, here she is in an interview with Politico just last week.
Do you still consider yourself a Republican?
I would not. I don't really know if I do consider myself one right now. I would say I'm definitely leaning more calling myself an independent.
Have you gone so far as to change your registration?
I haven't, not yet. I haven't changed it yet, but I will probably think pretty deeply about doing that. And I think it's important because I think that's where many Americans are leaning. They're finding themselves. They're saying, if they're a Democrat, they're saying, well, the Democrat Party has failed me. If they're a Republican, they're saying, well, the Republican Party has failed me.
This energy is very much an improvement from how we are used to receiving MTG. And again, I want to be clear that I don't know her. I don't know what her motives are. I don't know if she's just trying to salvage her career while reading the writing on the wall. But just going off of what she's saying, it makes total sense that she is questioning her alignment and affiliation with the Republican Party, but she's not quite ready to call herself a Democrat. And sometimes centrism is just a pit stop on the road to progressivism. The fact that she, again, according to her own account, has become disillusioned with Trump and now the Republican Party is something many Americans are grappling with right now. However you feel about these people is your prerogative, but it's just what's happening. Speaking not specifically about MTG now, the notion that many people feel that they don't really identify with either party is not wrong. Many progressives even often vote blue reluctantly because that is where our sub-party fits. We are a sub-party beneath the Democratic umbrella. Other times, we just opt out of elections if and when the Democratic candidate is too far away from our values and our goals. Most of the time, progressives are just fighting against members of what is supposed to be our own party. So what MTG is describing is not the most unrelatable sentiment in the world. What that means for people on the right versus the people on the left are, in my opinion, still kind of different things, but the general feeling that the two-party system simply is not not representative of American values is heavier now than it has been in a very long time. And looking at the Republican Party, there are still plenty of Republicans who don't think Trump is a good guy. They don't love what Trump is doing to the country, to the earth, or to other countries. They don't self-identify as MAGA, even though at this point they are functionally no different from the people in red hats. They still voted for Trump 3 times, so whatever grace you want to give them, give it with a huge grain of salt. But many of them are probably still just Republicans because they feel as though they have nowhere else to go. They're not ready to make the leap to the other party, and frankly, the other party isn't doing much to entice them over. But the infighting on the right is already doing a lot to damage the MAGA movement. And it's kind of interesting because it's almost as if the thing that was going to take down the conspiracy theorists all along was just going to be another conspiracy. And this one is something that probably many of us have wondered about. According to a recent article from Wired, MAGA is increasingly convinced the Trump assassination attempt was staged. Conspiracy theories about the Butler, Pennsylvania shooting have ramped up in recent weeks as once steadfast Trump supporters turn on the president. Look, his ear healed very quickly, suspiciously quickly. I've had piercings that didn't heal as fast. The photographers were well placed and ready for action, but people on the left are less likely to call something a hoax without having substantial evidence to back up that claim. The problem with conspiratorial people on the right and why the left gives them little to no credibility is that they never seem to have enough evidence or expertise to reasonably arrive at the sensational conclusions that they often arrive at. They take a lot of leaps in faith and logic, and the red string just gets stretched a little further than it should be. Even with this one, they still don't seem to have a ton of evidence. But that's not what's important about conspiracy theorists, not in this context at least. The belief of the thing is not rooted in logic, it's rooted in a sense of belonging, among other things. Many former MAGA members have expressed that the movement gave them something to be a part of. They felt as though for once they were on the winning team. They didn't want to lose that feeling of hopefulness, nor did they want to lose their community. For MAGA to wake up and snap out of it, perhaps it needs to be a collective awakening instead of an individualized one. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is a part of this. This week she posted to X, "I'm not calling the Butler assassination a hoax, but there are a lot of questions that deserve public answers. I'm asking, why won't Trump release the information about Matthew Crooks? Did he actually act alone? If not, who is behind him and who helped him?" Anyway, according to the Wired article, Tim Dillon said that maybe it was staged on his show. Tucker Carlson thinks the FBI was involved in some kind of cover-up. Even Joe Kent, the now former U.S. National Counterterrorism Center director, who just resigned over the Iran war, says investigations into the shooting had been shut down before they were ever completed. And yeah, there are a lot of legitimate questions that should be asked, like, why did Trump close the investigation into the assassination attempt? Why doesn't he ever talk about it anymore? That's very against his character. He's not known for letting things go easily. He's not very forgiving. But those questions, unless and until we have answers to them, do not constitute an understanding of what really happened that day.